Front and Center. Front and Center. A focus on important and significant developments affecting the lives of Filipinos, not only in the Philippines, but also those living and working around the world. Join us in Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Good day, this is Front and Center, a program that focuses on developments in the Philippines, legislations that provides policies and directions that strives to promote a better economy for the country, issues that concerns the welfare and well-being for every Filipino. All of this and more will be Front and Center. Join me in this half-hour program here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You can watch this program over Radio Pilipinas World Service via Facebook page live broadcast. Just access our Facebook page Radio Pilipinas World Service. You can also catch every Front and Center programs over our YouTube channel. Just type in your YouTube browser Radio Pilipinas World Service. The program Front and Center and the programs of Radio Pilipinas World Service can also be listened to the following shortwave frequencies: 12.010 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.820 MHz. So, come and join us for another edition of Front and Center. I am your host, Rey Sampang. On November 3, 2023, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida started his official visit to the Philippines with the aim of, among others, further strengthening bilateral ties between Japan and the Philippines in a wide range of scope, from financial, economic, human resources development and exchange, as well as more cooperation on the issue of military and defense cooperation in light of the current geopolitical situation around the world, particularly in this part of the globe. The tensions being created by the ever-growing claims of China in the West Philippine Sea as part of their territory. Philippine President Marcos Jr. officially received Prime Minister Kishida during the welcoming ceremony sa Ada Malacanang Palace on Friday, November 3. Through the years, Japan is one of the major financial supporters of the Philippines in terms of official development assistance through grants and loans for vital infrastructure projects and social services programs, one of which is the first ever subway project in the Philippines. And Japan is also keen on supporting the Philippines in its arbitral case ruling against China, wherein Japan also provided the Philippines Coast Guard with naval ships to help augment the current naval and Coast Guard vessels to patrol the vast West Philippine Sea. Before the visit of Prime Minister Kishida to the Philippines, President Marcos already undertook his official visit to Japan in February 2023, sealing a $13 billion worth of agreements that were seen to yield thousands of jobs for Filipinos. Here is Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s speech in welcoming Japanese Prime Minister Kishida.
Your Excellency, it is a pleasure to welcome you to Manila, to the Philippines. Thank you for accepting our invitation to visit our country. I wish you and your delegation a comfortable stay, despite the fact that it's a very, very quick visit. But I hope that we will be able to achieve a great many things. In July of 2023, we marked the 67th anniversary of the normalization of our diplomatic relations. Our decades of cooperation have developed into a robust and strategic partnership built on trust, mutual respect, and common values. I recall my very productive visit to Japan earlier this year, wherein we issued a joint statement highlighting the strength of our relations and identifying areas of our cooperation. Our meeting today builds upon the momentum of the recent past, and we look forward to expanding cooperation with you, especially in key areas such as economic development, development cooperation, and security cooperation. While we continue to enhance our bilateral relations, I am pleased that the trilateral engagements at various fronts among the Philippines, Japan, and the United States have commenced. This started this year. I look forward to continuing this form of engagement and to expand it further to cover other equally important aspects. I believe that the bedrock of any relationship is that of people-to-people exchanges. And following my official visit to Japan in February 2023, we have welcomed several high-level delegations, including that of the delegation from the LDP of Japan and Japan-Philippines Parliamentary Friendship League. I also note the official parliamentary visit of the Philippine Senate to Japan on April of this year. I'm glad to note that officials from the other branches of our government have likewise been committed to keeping our relationships vibrant. As we begin our discussions, I look forward to these very meaningful exchanges.
For his part, Prime Minister Kishida underscored the important alliance between the Philippines and Japan.
はい、マルコス大統領、温かい歓迎の言葉ありがとうございます。フィリピンの皆様方にこうして温かく迎えていただいておりますこと、心から感謝申し上げます。2月には東京でお会いいたしました。また9月にはジャカルタでお会いしました。そして、今回はマニラで大統領とお会いできますこと、大変嬉しく思っています。こうした首脳間の相互訪問は二国間関係が強固である証左であると思っています。
President Marcos, thank you for your gracious welcome and your warm words, and I'm delighted to see you again, and I am very wholeheartedly thankful for the warm hospitality extended to me from the people of the Philippines. And I'm delighted to see you here in Manila following your visit to Tokyo in February and our encounter in Jakarta in September. The mutual visits between leaders are a testament of the robust bilateral relationship between our two countries.
そしてまずハマスを含むパレスチナ武装勢力のテロ攻撃によりフィリピンの国民がこの犠牲になったことに対してお悔やみを申し上げたいと思います。
And allow me to first express my condolences for the Filipino citizens that were killed in the terrorist attacks by Palestinian militant groups, including Hamas.
日本とフィリピンは共に海洋国家であり、基本的な原則や価値を共有する戦略的なパートナーです。国際社会が複合的な危機に直面する中、法の支配に基づく自由で開かれた国際秩序を維持強化し、人間の尊厳が守られる世界を確保していくために、協力を強化していきたいと強く思っております。
Japan and the Philippines are both maritime nations and strategic partners sharing fundamental principles and values. And as the international community faces complex crises, we would like to strengthen our cooperation with the Philippines to maintain and strengthen a free and open international order based on the rule of law to ensure a world where human dignity is protected.
本日も大統領とじっくりと議論させていただくことを楽しみにしております。
I very much look forward to discussing issues with you in depth today.
And on November 4, 2023, Prime Minister Kishida spoke in front of the joint session of Congress, wherein lawmakers from the House of Representatives and the Philippine Senate, together with other government officials, attended to hear the Japanese Prime Minister's speech. Prime Minister Kishida is the sixth foreign head of state to address the joint congressional session in the Philippines. Here is Prime Minister Kishida's speech during the joint congressional session.
Honorable Juan Miguel Zubiri, President of the Senate of the Republic of the Philippines, Honorable Fernando Martin Morales, Speaker of the House of Representatives of the Republic of the Philippines, ladies and gentlemen. The Philippines, with the second largest population among ASEAN countries and more than 300,000 citizens living in Japan, is an irreplaceable partner for Japan. I'm honored to have the opportunity to be the first Japanese Prime Minister to speak here at the Congress of the Philippines, which has a long tradition. In 1977, former Prime Minister Fukuda Takeo delivered a speech in Manila in the presence of President Ferdinando Eduardo Marcos Sr. I am reminded that in that speech he expressed his desire to build a heart-to-heart relationship of trust with Southeast Asia, including the Philippines, as equal partners. About a half-century has passed since then. Exchanges between our two countries have deepened, and today, the relationship between Japan and the Philippines is stronger than ever. Looking back over the long history of our bilateral relationship, it has not always been smooth sailing. We cannot forget the endeavor of our predecessors based on the spirit of tolerance, including the pardon of Japanese war criminals by President Kirino in 1953, which paved the way for our two countries to overcome difficult times and build a friendly relationship we enjoy today. Today, Japan-Philippine relationship have reached the point of being called a golden age. This year also marks the 50th anniversary of the friendship and cooperation between Japan and ASEAN. And in December, we will host a commemorative summit meeting in Tokyo. Against this backdrop, I am very delighted to have the opportunity to visit Manila for the first time as Prime Minister and to express my views on Japan's foreign policy, including strengthening relations with the Philippines and ASEAN. Ladies and gentlemen, the international community is currently at a historic turning point, and the international order, based on the rule of law that we have taken for granted, is under serious threat. The international community is also facing complex and interrelated challenges, such as climate change and infectious diseases. Under these circumstances, we cannot afford to have the world be divided based on the ideologies and values. At the G7 summit in Hiroshima in May this year, which I had the honor to chair, I listened to the diverse voices of the international community, including those of the countries referred to as the Global South. What I strongly felt there was the need to return to the very basic foundation that everyone can share. What I emphasize as such a foundation is the idea of human dignity. There is no better place to stress the significance of human dignity than here in the Philippine Congress. The Constitution of the Philippines stipulates that the Congress shall give highest priority to protecting and enhancing the rights of all people to human dignity. In order for everyone to live with dignity, it is essential to build a peaceful and stable world. From this standpoint, I confirmed with President Marcos during his visit to Japan in February that we would work together to maintain and strengthen the free and open international order based on the rule of law. Furthermore, during my visit to the United States in January, I expressed my strong determination to defend a free and open Indo-Pacific, FOIP. Also, in March, I announced a new plan to realize the FOIP. Underlying this plan is our determination to lead the international community toward cooperation rather than division and confrontation, and to defend freedom and the rule of law at all costs. Today, I stand here to share with you my renewed commitment to further advance these efforts and to share with you my thoughts on how to do so. There are 4 pillars in the new FOIP plan. The first of these pillars is to uphold the principles for peace and rules for prosperity. This is the idea of building peace by confirming and promoting the basic principles that the international community should uphold. For example, stability in the Mindanao region is linked to peace and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific. From this perspective, Japan has supported the peace process and economic development over the past 2 decades. We just announced yesterday in our meeting with President Marcos the provision of heavy equipment for disaster management in Mindanao. This cooperation is based on the vision of the FOIP. Ladies and gentlemen, 50 years ago, Japan has initiated a dialogue with ASEAN ahead of the rest of the world. Since then, Japan and ASEAN have helped each other in times of difficulty and nurtured a relationship of trust with a heart-to-heart connection through exchanges amongst the peoples in a wide range of fields and at various levels. One of the lessons learned from this experience is the second pillar of the new FOIP plan, addressing challenges in an Indo-Pacific way. This is the idea of addressing global challenges in a realistic and practical manner, and enhancing resilience and sustainability of each country as an equal partner. For example, COVID-19 expanded divisions and disparities in the international community. It is evident that the world as a whole must respond to international health challenges. Japan will support the ASEAN Center for Emerging Diseases and Public Health Emergencies to develop as a regional center of excellence. Japan will also promote the third pillar of the new FOIP plan, which is to strengthen multi-layered connectivity. Needless to say, ASEAN is one of the priority regions in overcoming vulnerabilities by strengthening the linkages among countries.
Japan will promote cooperation in line with our ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific (AOIP), which resonates with the FOIP. We will work with ASEAN to ensure that many countries support and cooperate for the principles and activities set forth in the AOIP, such as openness, transparency, inclusiveness, and a rules-based framework. In the G7 Hiroshima Leaders Communique, Japan led the way in strongly articulating our commitment to strengthen coordination with ASEAN, to support ASEAN centrality and unity, and to promote cooperation in line with the AOIP. In March, Japan announced a new contribution of $100 million to the Japan-ASEAN Integration Fund. In addition, in September, Japan launched the Japan-ASEAN Comprehensive Connectivity Initiative to strengthen connectivity in both tangible and intangible fronts. We will also mobilize private sector funds to support ASEAN's resilience and sustainability. In the commemorative summit meeting in December, we will jointly formulate a vision to create a new era of sustainable and prosperous development together, while building trust for the next generation. Ladies and gentlemen, Japan and the Philippines have strengthened their relationship at all levels in recent years. In 2016, which marked the 60th anniversary of a normalization of diplomatic relations, then Their Majesties Emperor and Empress of Japan visited the Philippines, and in February this year, President Marcos, together with President of the Senate Zubiri and Speaker of the House of Representatives Romualdez, visited Japan. In addition, various exchanges and cooperation between the two countries are underway, such as visit of members of the Japan-Philippines Parliamentarians Friendship League to the Senate and the House of Representatives of the Philippines this summer. Now, I would like to introduce some specific examples of our cooperation. First, security and defense cooperation. The last pillar of the new FOIP plan is extending efforts for security and safe use of the sea to the air. Japan has hitherto provided 12 ships to the Coast Guard to play a part in improving the Philippines' maritime security capability. Furthermore, a Japanese firm delivered a warning and control radar to the Philippine Air Force last month in order to improve air domain awareness. Also, yesterday, Japan agreed with the Philippines to provide coastal surveillance radars to the Philippines Navy as the first cooperation project in the world under Japan's newly established Official Security Assistance, OSA, this year. Japan will continue to contribute to the enhancement of the Philippines' security capabilities thereby contributing to regional peace and stability. Furthermore, we concurred with President Marcos to commence formal negotiations on a Japan-Philippines reciprocal access agreement. Japan intends to further deepen strategic cooperation with the Philippines in the future. Next, I'd like to touch upon cooperation in the areas of economy and investment. Japan is the largest donor to the Philippines. Through the 600 billion yen public-private assistance announced in February, which runs through March next year, we will continue to support economic and social development in line with President Marcos' Build Better More program. For example, the construction of the Philippines' first subway system is underway in Manila with Japanese assistance. I'm going to visit the construction site later today. I'm proud of the fact that Japan can play a part in this subway project, which is said to be a 50-year dream. Furthermore, Japan is one of the largest investors in the Philippines on a private sector basis. Public-private partnerships and investments in companies that contribute to decarbonization are also underway. The public and private sectors are eagerly working together to support the economic growth of the Philippines. We welcome the signing of a memorandum of cooperation in the field of tourism. We hope that through efforts such as the FIBA Basketball World Cup co-hosted by Japan, the Philippines, and Indonesia this year, our golden friendship will lead to the next generation. Japan and the Philippines have also deepened coordination in addressing global issues. As a native of Hiroshima, nuclear disarmament is my life work. I will continue to promote realistic and practical efforts toward a world without nuclear weapons. With this in mind, I am pleased that in September, we were able to co-host the commemorative high-level event on a fissile material cut-off treaty FMCT with Foreign Minister Manalo. Regarding climate change, which the Marcos administration also attaches great importance to, we are deepening cooperation on energy transition through the realization of an Asia Zero Emission Community or AZEC concept. In December, we will hold the AZEC Summit meeting and will work with participating countries to pursue the common goal of net zero via various pathways for energy transitions according to each country's circumstance. Lastly, I'd like to offer a few words about the cooperation among Japan, the Philippines, and the United States in order to maintain and strengthen a free and open international order based on the rule of law. Multi-layered cooperation among allies and like-minded countries is crucial. In September, President Marcos, U.S. Vice President Harris, and I exchanged views for the first time and confirmed to enhance cooperation. In the South China Sea, but trilateral cooperation to protect the freedom of the sea is underway. In addition to the participation of Japan's self-defense forces in the joint U.S.-Philippines exercises held last month, the first joint exercise by the Coast Guard agencies of the three countries was held in June this year. Through these efforts, let us protect the maritime order, which is governed by laws and rules, not by force. Ladies and gentlemen, as I have mentioned, the relationship between Japan and the Philippines has made great strides over the past half-century. I believe that the people-to-people connection is a bedrock of this relationship. I offered flowers yesterday at the monument to Dr. Jose Rizal. Dr. Rizal, who had once stayed in Japan in his youth and had the opportunity to interact with Japanese people, envisioned that our two countries would one day engage in a full-fledged relationship. Indeed, exchanges between the peoples of the two countries have been unwavering. After the Great East Japan earthquake in 2011, the Philippines sent a medical assistance team, and the Filipino caregiver candidates remained in the affected areas to provide dedicated care, saying, "We cannot abandon the elderly people." In return, when Typhoon Yolanda struck in 2013, Japanese people from the disaster-stricken area of Tohoku went to the Philippines to assist in the recovery and reconstruction efforts. This kind of relationship is what former Prime Minister of Japan, Fukuda, articulated, a heart-to-heart relationship. I believe that it is the responsibility of those living in the present to take the heart-to-heart ties established by our predecessors to new heights and pass them on to the next generation. The slogan for the 50th anniversary of ASEAN-Japan Friendship and Cooperation is Golden Friendship, Golden Opportunities. At the ASEAN-Japan Commemorative Summit meeting in December, I hope to work with President Marcos and other ASEAN leaders to ensure that the golden friendship between Japan and ASEAN will be a golden opportunity that leads to the next generation. To friends of the Philippines and ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I would like to express my deepest gratitude for the warm hospitality upon my visit to the Philippines. I will continue to do my utmost to ensure that the strong friendship between Japan and the Philippines will last and further develop in the future. Thank you very much for your time today.
During his two-day visit to the Philippines, Prime Minister Kishida, the Philippines and Japan further solidified their bilateral relations, each looking to each other as close allies in this region of the world, together with the United States of America and other right-minded nations in upholding the international rule of law, humanitarian assistance, and right to each country's sovereignty. Front and Center will be back after another edition of Pinoy Kultura.
Time to celebrate kulturang Pinoy. Tradisyon, musika, sining, literatura at iba pa. Anything and everything fun and Filipino. Ito ang Pinoy Kultura.
One of the fondest memories I have as a kid is riding the jeepney. It made me feel like a king. Dahil ito ang King of the Road. The jeepney or jeep is a cultural symbol that has transported us to school, the office, sa mall, at sa iyong first date. Mura, makulay, at mabilis. Yan ang ating jeep.
Maaari bang umusog-usog ng konti?
Sakay na!
Yan ang Pinoy Kultura because our culture is cool.
Serving the Republic of the Philippines for more than 75 years. Ito po ang Presidential Broadcast Service.
Welcome back to Front and Center here on Radio Pilipinas World Service. I'm your host, Rey Sampang. Since winning the presidential race in July 2022, President Ferdinand C. Marcos Jr. took the responsibilities of being the Chief and concurrent Secretary of the country's Department of Agriculture, citing that years of lack of attention in regards to the agency has contributed to the problems facing the department, as well as the agricultural production woes which has forced his administration and previous dispensations resort to importation, which has affected the local production and prices in the local market. Taking the helm of the Agriculture Department did not come easy for the President because his presidential duties is also additional burden by running the department, of which many has called on the President to relieve himself of the Agriculture Chief position for him to better concentrate on the executive duties that the President has to perform. President Marcos Jr., for his part, expressly said before that he will only relinquish his duties as Agriculture Chief if and when he finds a suitable person to run and manage the agency the way it should and strictly adhere to its mandate and objective to ensure stable supply and affordable prices of agricultural products, improving agricultural productivity by using modern technologies and innovation through a whole-of-government approach. But on Friday, November 3, 2023, before the arrival of Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, President Marcos Jr. announced to the country in Malacanang Palace grounds that he has found the right person to take his place as Chief of the Agriculture Department. President Marcos Jr. named Filipino fishing tycoon Francisco Tiu Laurel Jr. as the new Secretary of the Department of Agriculture after almost 2 years of holding the position. The President said that he has found someone who has a fair understanding of what needs to be done.
This is a very important occasion. I have just administered the oath of office for the new Secretary of the Department of Agriculture, Francisco Laurel, who is standing here next to me. And this is because it is time that we have found somebody who understands very well the problems that agriculture is facing. And the reason for the timing is I'd like also to put a little background to it. The reason for the timing is that now we are confident, Secretary Kiko and I are confident that we have a fair understanding, a good understanding of what it is that needs to be done. What are the problems? And the reason that I held on to the position of Secretary of Agriculture was that I truly believed, and I think I was proven right, that there are many things that only a president could do. And the problems were so important and were so deep that I felt that the authority, oh, I'm sorry, please sit down. that the authority and the, I suppose, moral suasion of a president was necessary for us to be able to figure out. And it really was. Agriculture is a much, much more complicated thing than most people understand. But we have come to that point where we have a very good idea of where the problems lie, and what we need to do to solve those problems.
The appointment of Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. as Agriculture Chief will be a litmus test for the business tycoon, especially on how his management expertise will come into play in the intricate operations of the Agriculture Department, coupled with the vision of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to resurrect the agencies to its former glory of one of the country's barometer when it comes to the gross domestic product of the Philippines through its agricultural output or production, which is a major indicator of the food inflation index, which in turn has a sizable effect on the core inflation of the country. More importantly, the overarching objective of the Marcos Jr. administration is to provide enough, if not a surplus, of agricultural products, especially rice, the staple food of every Filipino family, to be affordable to the pockets of every Filipino. And for that, we wish our new Department of Agriculture Chief, Laurel Jr., good luck and Godspeed on your new appointment as Agriculture Chief. Well, that is all the time we have for now. We have just brought you another edition of Front and Center. Join us again for another edition of Front and Center, same time, same frequency. You can also watch this program over Radio Pilipinas World Service via Facebook broadcast. Just access our Facebook page, Radio Pilipinas. You can also catch every Front and Center programs over our YouTube channel. Just type in your YouTube browser, Radio Pilipinas World Service. The program Front and Center and the programs of Radio Pilipinas World Service can also be listened to the following shortwave frequencies: 12.010 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.820 MHz. Together with our producer Erwin Peñano and our technical personnel Leo Magpayo and Milo Jonella, this is your host Rey Sampang. Mabuhay and love the Philippines.
You have just heard and watched Front and Center. Front and Center. Join us again for another edition here on Radio Pilipinas World Service. Front and Center.